What up, guys? So I wasn't gonna make a video on how to put all the modules back into the Proteus Maximus, just because we took them out. I figured you guys are smart and could just put them back together. But let's just say that it's a possibility that when I was putting it back together, I forgot something. So instead of just redoing it, I figured I might as well just record it and help everybody along this journey of working on the Proteus Maximus. So if you need to go back and check out how something goes, where something's connected, hopefully this video will help you out on that. And one more thing, when you have everything plugged in and all the modules in and everything, go ahead and just plug it in. Just make sure you're not getting any errors or you have no issues whatsoever, because you don't want to go ahead and close and seal everything and then end up having an error and then having to open everything back together. If you do have rules on having units close when turning on, just go ahead and put like a couple screws in just so the covers are on, but it's real easy to take off if you need to. So the first thing that we're going to do is put the belt on. We don't necessarily need to put it on the gear. We just kind of need to set it in place. So now that I have on that, I probably wouldn't even put this down here yet because I want to put the top gear on first, because when you put on this module for the tilt, that gear is going to be really close to this wall. So it's better just to grab the gear to kind of grab it on. And then later we can worry about getting it around the bigger gear. So what I'm going to do is get my module and I want to put the belt around this. Again, we got to be careful with the encoder wheel. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this up a little bit. Set it in. And then once I got it around that little gear, I could go ahead and kind of fit where everything is supposed to be lined up. So I see like I have a gap right here and I have the hole right here. And then I'm just going to do the exact same thing on this side. So if you could see kind of in here, I already have the belt kind of around that gear. So when it comes time to tensioning and everything, I could go ahead and make it tight. But first I want to wrap it around this bottom gear. And so now the belt is pretty much set already. So now we're going to screw it in. Just like anything that you screw in, you don't want to screw it in all the way. So we're going to go ahead and screw it in just so that it holds this module. So everything's screwed in. So now we can tighten everything up together. All right. So we got the belt wrapped around. We got the module screwed in. What I'm going to do next is try to get this spring tension on this little bracket right here. There's a little hole. So what I'm going to do is get my hook and grab the end of it and turn it 90 degrees. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull it and try to feed it into that little hole that's on the bracket. Then I'm going to get my needle nose pliers and feed the rest in because it's kind of just barely on the tip. And so there you go. So now you could see that I was able to get it. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So we set the tension with the springs. Now we're going to make sure that the tension's locked. So since I didn't release the screws all the way, I'm just going to go ahead and use my Phillips screwdriver to tighten these up so I can make sure that the tension is locked in. So now the belt is nice and tension. We don't got to worry about it slipping. So sometimes I'll get some people that forget to tighten these screws and will just leave the tension from the spring. If you do that and you put everything back together, what's going to happen is that it's going to start slipping on gears and you're going to hear like, I guess like a boing from the springs, and you'll just kind of hear it slipping and you'll get a tilt issue or a tilt error because the weight from the spring or the weight from the unit isn't tensioning enough just by the spring. So make sure you screw these screws in nice and snug. So now that we have that module in and set in place, we go ahead and connect the cables. So let's start with our fan cable that's in the tilt module that belongs to the 11U. And then in the back, we have the power for the resistor board that goes into the 10U. And then the little two harness cable also going to go into the 10U. There you go. And then from here, we could also go ahead and plug in the power that jumps to the 9U board, which is going to be your tilt board. That's going to be back here. And then also our bus cable. There you go. Now we got everything connected, ready to go. And next we're gonna go ahead and put on our lens. When it comes to the lens, it does have a gasket on both sides. So we wanna make sure that this area is nice and clean and we don't have any metal shavings from the screws. So let's put this in. And then put the 4 screws back into it to hold it in. Now let's go ahead and start with the rest of the modules. So what we're gonna do first is put in the bottom module, just because I think it's a little bit easier. Remember that this module comes out opposite than the other 2 that are on top of it. A good way to know when you're gonna put it in or how to put it in is going to be your PC board. So over here, we have the cables, the power and the bus cable that we left. So we wanna make sure that we feed the side that it goes in first. Then we're going to go ahead and move the bracket up so it sits over the module and it can't slip out. Tighten the screws. And then we're going to do the exact same thing to this side. Then we're going to turn it around and then we could connect the PC board from here. So just like we put in the CMY module, knowing where the connector go and the PC go, we're going to do the exact same thing for the Gobo module. So I have the connector here and I see that the connector goes in here. So I know which way I have to put it in. And just like the CMY module, we're going to move that bracket up into its place. And the same thing on this side. Sweet. So let's not connect it quite yet, because it's just going to get in the way when we put in the shutter blade module. But before we even put in the shutter blade module, we want to make sure that our focus lens is out of the way. So I think the best way to do that is just to spin it around and kind of pull it back so it just sits like this, and you could go ahead and just install it. So here we have our shutter module. We have our power and our bus that we know that connects to this board that distributes the power to it. So we're going to go ahead and slide it in just like that. And this module is just a little bit different. It doesn't have the sliding brackets. This just has the brackets that go in, and you go ahead and screw your 4 screws into the housing of the unit. From here, we could go ahead and connect the Gobo module back in, and then connect our shutter blade module back in. Now that we got the unit flipped back over, I think the last thing that we need to do, other than the brackets that cover the PC boards, are going to be the stoppers. So let's go ahead and install the stoppers back. And the same thing on the other side. So you got to make sure that you install these brackets this way, because this is the only correct way. I also call them stoppers because this is what actually stops this module from hitting the lens or going any further. So if you see that, that kind of stops it. Also, this bracket holds everything back together, just because when we install it, you see how this is separated from this side. So it just keeps it nice and sturdy. So please make sure you put these in correctly, or you install them correctly, because if you turn them around, then your stopper is going to stop right here and you're not going to get the full range of motion for your zoom in focus.
Like always, I hope this helps, and make sure to check out Elation's forums.